Singapore is consistently ranked the second most expensive country in the world, only behind Switzerland. But at the same time, Southeast Asia is known as a backpacker's heaven, in large part because it's so cheap. So I decided to spend 48 hours in Singapore to see if it's possible to experience one of the most expensive countries in the world while traveling on a budget. After looking through Hostel World, I ended up staying at a place called Beetlebox Hostel for $24 a night, which was a bit pricier than I usually pay for hostels, but the reviews were pretty good and it included free breakfast. However, the free breakfast ended up being literally just toast and jam or Nutella. But they had a huge sitting area with AC where I did some editing, which was nice. The rooms were very basic, but clean and had AC, and they had lockers even if they didn't look the nicest. And the bathrooms were actually really good. Some of the other travelers said they had found nicer places for a similar price, but you're not going to find places much cheaper than this. Usually when I travel, I like to find little snacks from the local convenience store that I like. So I decided to go to 7-Eleven, and it was way more expensive than I even expected. A regular Coca-Cola from the fridge was $3.60. The chocolate was all a similar price, and even the ramen cup noodles were more than $3. So I decided not to get anything and to walk around and see if I could find anything else cheaper. I found Japanese food for $20, some Vietnamese banh mi for about $8, and I actually found a couple of Indonesian food places, but I just came from Indonesia, so I was craving something different. So finally, I settled on a local hawker stall that I found. And if you don't know, these hawker stalls are a big group of food vendors that create an outdoor food court, and they're super popular around Singapore and Malaysia.
Just got some Singapore money. It's really pretty. It's like that funny plasticky feeling. It's nice. But now it's 4:30 and I haven't eaten like anything today, so I'm a little bit hungry. So now I just got my food. I got these dried noodles, some fried dumplings, and they gave me this free like egg drop soup. And then I got a soy milk for $12.20.
The next day, I made a couple new friends at my hostel, and we walked around the city and checked out some beautiful places in Fort Canning Park, which is a big hill that used to be home to a Chinese palace, and then the home of Sir Stamford Raffles, who was a British official and governor of the Dutch East Indies, but played an important role in the shaping of modern-day Singapore, and then a military fort that was used by the British for almost 100 years, until they surrendered Singapore to the Japanese here in 1942. And today, there are a couple museums there about the bunker and some basic history of the area that are all free. It is also home to one of the most famous Instagram spots in Singapore, the Fort Canning Tree Tunnel, which we went to check out, but realized that the line for photos was much longer than we wanted to wait, so maybe next time. We decided to get some lunch, and one of my friends had a tradition of going to Hard Rock Cafe in every country that she goes to. So I decided to splurge on some American food and got some chicken fingers and fries for 30 Singapore dollars. But honestly, they weren't that good. So after that crazy expensive meal, I decided to try to get the cheapest meal I could, which was at this Chinese breakfast place where I got some of my favorite breakfast food ever, fresh soy milk and youtiao, which are sometimes called Chinese donuts. But youtiao literally means oil stick. So I got 2 of them and some soy milk for a total of $5.70.
So just got off the metro. My friends are going to a Halloween party that goes until like 1:30 in the morning. And I unfortunately have a flight at 8:20 tomorrow morning, so I thought that probably isn't a good idea. So now I am at Marina Bay, which my friend said if you only have 1 day in Singapore, this is like the one thing that you should probably see. And I don't know if I agree, we'll see. But it's like the super beautiful area where it has the famous 3 like skyscrapers with a boat on top of it. And there's like a Ferris wheel, and a ton of people come over here to take pictures with like these like big tree tower things. So I think it should be fun. I'm just gonna walk around for a little bit. I think there's a light show later at like 7 o'clock or something. So I'll probably stay around until then. And the nice part about it is that you can enter the gardens by the bay, and like this whole area is free. You have to pay $20, I think, or something to go up to the top where the boat is, or $20 to like go up the trees, but you don't have to do that. You can just go in for free to the normal section. The walk over here is honestly very beautiful, very peaceful. Like there's a lot of cars on the street, but there's not a lot of noise. They're not honking all over the place like they do in India or in other countries. I've been surprised. Most of Singapore is actually pretty walkable. It was a lot better than like Kuala Lumpur when I went there. Some of the places are definitely more walkable than others. You can definitely tell that like roads still have priority in a lot of situations, but you can walk anywhere in Singapore. As far as I can tell, you can walk in can take public transportation almost anywhere in the city. And it's not too expensive. There's buses and the metro, and it's pretty easy to use. This place is crazy. I think the garden walk will be really cool. This place is so pretty. Oh my gosh, they have a literal gondola ride in this mall. Definitely getting some Crazy Rich Asian vibes here. And honestly, I'm getting a little bit sick of Apple. They're making me really annoyed recently, but one of my British friends told me I had to come check out this Apple store here. And it's pretty cool.
The final two things I decided to do in Singapore were both free. The first one is called Spectra, a light and water show just outside of the Marina Bay Sands Hotel next to this funny Apple store. They have it twice a night at 8 and 9 p.m. with an extra show at 10 p.m. on the weekends. But it starts to get pretty busy around 20 to 30 minutes before it starts. So if you want a reasonable seat, you have to get there early and sit on the floor for an hour. And the last thing I did was visit the Gardens by the Bay, which is this giant garden of synthetic trees where they also do a light show twice a night at 7:45 and 8:45. Both of these shows were pretty cool to see, and they were both free. So if you want to do both in the same night, I'd recommend doing the water show at 8 and the light show at 8:45 because there's a decent walk in between them. And two final things. I was only in Singapore for 2 days, so I didn't go to the gym, but I did find one that charged $240 a month. And the second thing, I didn't get a SIM card, but at the hostel I stayed at, they advertised 100 gigabytes for $15, which is pretty good if that's the full price. So, can you travel Singapore on a budget? Well, kind of. You can find places to stay for reasonably cheap, and public transportation is super easy and cheap. There are a few pretty places to go for free that could last you a few days, but food is still very expensive. I thought I'd still be able to eat at Asia prices if I went to hawker stalls or ate street food, but honestly, it was not much better than eating at normal restaurants. Maybe it was just the part of town that I was in, but I think it's pretty hard to eat out for much less than $10 a meal. So overall, not a great budget destination if you want to stay for a week or more, but it was still a nice place to explore just for a couple days.